Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and just want to say hi to everybody, see how you're doing. We've survived Thanksgiving, and now we have Christmas right around the corner. So, with that in mind, it is that time of year where everybody thinks about getting themselves something for Christmas or someone, their loved ones, something for Christmas. And it's sort of difficult because, like, a lot of people want to get just the right gift. And so you put a lot of stock and thought into it. But then sometimes you run into certain family members where you're like the obligation is there, but your heart's not in it, or you're just, yeah, I have this nephew that I love and I want to get him something, but I don't know what he wants. And so, gift cards end up being the thing, right? So you get people gift cards in hopes that they'll use the thing to buy the thing that they want. And sometimes it's gift cards to things that maybe they're not into. So here's that weird thing of what do you get somebody for a present, even though you love them and you want to give them something they would love, but you're not exactly sure what to get them. Well, I don't know, honestly. That's kind of a question that's open. I'd like for people to comment and leave replies. Go to the website, www.stuffiheard.com, and let me know. We'll use it for a topic for the next time. So, anyway, for some family members, we've sort of eclipsed that time in our lives. Like, we're adults enough where we go, listen, we don't need to buy each other stuff that, we may not want or may not need, or we may already have because we, are doing good in life and we can afford to buy the things that we want. And, so in that, your phone's going off, by the way. In that, there is that moment of going, okay, so how about I don't get you anything? How about I just like we do something instead? Let's go out to dinner instead, or let's have a nice drink instead, or let's spend some time together and go on a trip together or something like that. And so that's all fine and good. That's well within the realm of what I would think people would enjoy. We just got done watching the Tim Tracker on YouTube take his wife and his son on a Disney cruise. They went, I want to say it was like maybe mid-November. It was before Thanksgiving. And they're just now putting the videos up because it took a while to kind of go through everything that they recorded. Now, he sort of has a tie-in with Disney in the fact that he does so much promotional videos going to the parks and going to all of the extra experiences that they invite him to go on things oftentimes. They're like, hey, we'd really like for you and your family to come experience this and show it off. And they realize that for them, it is free marketing. It is free advertising. There are elements of what he records that he has to be careful of because of copyright stuff having to do with music or certain elements of what they're showing. They're like, we'd rather you not show this part. So he does have restrictions on that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure if this cruise involves some sort of deal that they made with him or what. But I got to tell you, it was entertaining and it was inspiring because they got to go on this cruise where, let's say, the Disney Dream or Wish or whatever, the Wonder, I forget the name of the ship they were on. It's the one with Dumbo on the back. It's one of the newer ones, one of the bigger ones. It's not the Dream, but the other one. What ship were they on? The Wonder? My wife's in here. She's giving me some updates.
I think the Wonder and the Magic were the first two. It might be Wish.
Yeah, it wasn't Dream. It was Wish.
I think, honestly, I'm not. I think Wonder and Magic was the first two, and then they've got two more.
Fantasy?
Maybe Fantasy and
all I remember is Dumbo was on the back. But anyway, the point was they are on this ship that, I don't know, let's just ballpark it and say it holds 3,000 people.
No, more like staff and everything.
No, I'm talking guests.
Guest?
Maybe 5,000?
Close to 5,000 for guests.
And he said there was about 1,400 people on the truck on the whole ship. So you got to imagine that, yes, there's COVID going on. And yes, you have to show proof of vaccination. And yes, you have to get tested going onto the ship. And there's a lot of people that don't want to go through those steps. And there's a lot of people that even through those steps don't feel safe getting on a ship and being close to other people and proximity and stuff like that. And also, this was a tough year for a lot of people financially. So they're like, we just can't afford to go on something like that right now. So they were on this cruise with 1,400 people. And it was very, I don't know how to describe it, but for me, it's sort of a fantasy in itself because the ship is large as it is. And one of the things that my wife and I have commented on is that sometimes on a big ship like that, you feel overwhelmed because there's so many people. because you are kind of crowded onto a ship. And yes, the ships are so big that it seems like there's plenty of room and there's plenty of things to do. But at times there's pinch points with people that you're just suddenly like, oh my God, there's so many people. I mean, we've been on a few cruises where the center part of the ship is like a hustling bustle and they've made it look like a city street. And oftentimes walking through there, you have to kind of bide your time and wait patiently and just sort of shuffle your feet through the people. And there is the running joke that it's just a nonstop conveyor belt of people going on to get buffet food. And there's elements of that as well. But this was different. And I don't know if it was because it's Disney or if it's because it was a promotional thing, possibly with them, or if it was just because it was only 1,400 people on the ship. It was delightful. I was watching it going, wow, that is so nice. Now, I will say that Disney is by far one of the more expensive cruises that we've ever been on. We've cruised with different cruise lines in the past. Royal Caribbean so far is our favorite, other than Disney. We did a Disney one time with our kids, and it was very expensive, but it was really nice. I mean, the kids still today, they're grown-ups now, and they still talk about how that was one of their favorite trips ever. We've been on Norwegian, we've been on Carnival. And so for us, our normal is, hey, if we're going to take a cruise, let's go on Royal Caribbean. It was pretty nice. And it is pretty nice. Not to say that the other ones aren't. It's just that that's kind of the one we've stuck with. Watching this makes me think, man, wow, maybe we should be thinking about taking a Disney cruise, just the two of us. Because we've been to Disney World and Disneyland as adults without kids. And it's really nice because we get to kind of go at our own pace and see our own things and kind of do our own things without having to worry about entertaining them. And again, they're adults now, and we're older parents who are empty nesters. So why wouldn't we try to take a Disney cruise, just the two of us? It might be more magical without them. Who knows? Who knows? But if we're doing it, this is the time of year I think we should do it. Like when kids are in school and that it's going to be less opportunity for them to be in your way. I mean, I'm watching Tim and his wife and I'm thinking, God, I wish I was there. This is so nice. Just 1,400 people on this big old ship. Now, they did make land at a few places and they weren't allowed off the ship because of everyone has to be tested and vaccinated to get off the ship, including children. And I think their youngest, their son had not been vaccinated yet because he's just a little kid. But
I think cruise ships are doing this new thing with COVID where you have to go on an excursion.
Oh, you have to be on an excursion within their bubble so that you're protected and so that they'll allow you to go and come back. And I bet if you do that, they also test you once you get ready to go back on the ship too. Made a
comment. The 2 adults were tested. The child was not. The child had to go through like 3 different COVID tests.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's only 2.
Right. But now for us, it wouldn't be a big deal because we've been vaccinated. Right. Oh, and I've got my 3rd vaccination already. So there's that. It doesn't make me impervious to getting it, but hopefully it means that if I do get it, I would get a less severe version of it. I'm also not in any of the at-risk categories. I'm in pretty decent health. I'm pretty active. I don't smoke, all of the things that you would hope. I'm okay, I think, hopefully. I mean, we'll see. There is a new outbreak of a new thing, the Omicron virus. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. Because at this point, I think they're just making up names because they just want to keep you in this bubble of control. And I think that's the whole argument of why people are upset over COVID to start with. I mean, it's that whole thing of, the government's just controlling it now. Haha. And they are. I mean, they are. They just are. Okay. We've seen the best and worst of people, and it's still kind of echoing effects of that. But anyway, go check out the Tim Tracker on YouTube. Watch him and his family go on this cruise. Kind of make up your mind on your own. But listen, I'm just saying that if somebody wanted to give us a Christmas present for that next year so that maybe the whole family could go, I'm just saying if somebody's listening that could, I don't know, possibly make that happen, you can get together with my wife and coordinate efforts so that everything could happen smoothly. And you could just be like, yep, let's do it. I'm just saying if somebody's listening that could possibly make that happen, that would be really awesome and super awesome. And yeah, so Moving right along, let's talk about some stuff I heard. Okay, so this past week I've been working a little bit differently. So I've had not as much time behind the wheel, but I've listened to one podcast after work or before work, going to work, which is the Bertcast. He's interviewing a guy by the name of Riley Whitlam. Now, Riley has a YouTube channel, Sailing the Vagabond. Um, Very interesting. Him and his wife, or not wife, they're not really married, but they're kind of married. You know what I mean? They're together. They have two kids. They're sailing around the world and they're putting it on YouTube. And that's actually how they're making a living now. It didn't start off that way. This is a very good, interesting podcast between Bert and Riley. It's episode 492, where Riley talks about how he lived in Australia. He got work on an oil rig. Um, he bought his first boat from two men who were arguing. Got a really good deal on it. Talked about sailing and loving to sail, even though he'd never done it before, and just learning a lot, making a lot of mistakes along the way. But he eventually made it to Brazil, where he broke his neck. Uh, his dad had to fly out and kind of help him out. And then he talks about being in Italy, where he met his wife, their first meeting didn't go really well. Then they met again in Greece, and he had to leave to go back to work because he kept doing this thing where he worked on like an oil rig to make money, and then he'd get on the ship or his boat and he'd sail around the world, and he'd go back and work on the oil rig when he ran out of money, and he would just go back and forth doing that. Very interesting guy. Now, I went on his YouTube this morning and watched a few of his videos. His wife edits the videos. They sort of shoot together. She does more of the shooting than he does. But it's beautiful. Like, everything they're doing is gorgeous. She has an eye for editing. They've updated their equipment as time has gone on, and they've made more videos, and the YouTube thing has grown more. But Bert said it best. He said, watching your channel gives me a sort of escapism, which is true about a lot of things in life. Um, for most of us, that's why we watch superhero movies, or why we watch revenge movies, or why we watch love stories. It's escapism, right? But this is a different kind of escapism, because it's that thing of, what if I weren't in this rat race that I'm in, and I just bought a boat and just catch my fish, and you know, there is that element of adventure and exploring, and a little bit of romantic ideology of a simpler life, right? Where it's just you and nature, and you versus nature, and you learning to cooperate with nature and get along with nature and exist in nature. And the videos that they take are very good about telling a story, like each video. And listen, I am not that kind of YouTuber. I am literally just a, hey, this is interesting, let's turn the camera on kind of guy. I mean, you guys know, you've been here long enough. I wish I was better at storytelling than that. But for me, this was awesome. I subscribed to him because I was like, I'm going to watch more of these because these are really fascinating. He talks on the Bertcast about taking the young girl Greta, the environmentalist girl from Sweden, on a transatlantic trip that they almost died on. pretty exciting to listen to. I'm sure he got a lot of traction, viewers watching that adventure. But yeah, good. Listen, check out the Bertcast episode 492. Listen to Bert interview him. Bert's a big fan. Anything's good whenever the people are fans of each other, and these two are fans of each other. Riley's like, listen, I love your comedy. You're the greatest comedian. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. He does like Bert. But also it's really cool because Bert is a fan of his. So the interview's good. So definitely check it out. Also, I watched a few things on TV because I had a little bit of time. I watched a movie on HBO called News of the World. It had Tom Hanks in it. And again, Tom Hanks to me is a marvel as an actor because he can sort of own the screen with very little interaction from anything else. Like, even just movements of his thought processes keep us compelled to want to know more or watch more. Like if he had a channel where all he did was just interact with a volleyball. Oh wait, no, that was Castaway. If he had an interaction where he just talked to a dog and a robot. Oh wait, no, that was Finch. If he had a movie where he was, I don't know, with a girl who couldn't speak English, who only spoke like Indian. Oh wait, no, that was this movie, News of the World. Um, it's set in like the late 1800s in Texas. He's a guy that is basically television. He goes around to different towns, and for a dime, people come and they pay a dime to listen to him read them the news of the world. And he has these newspapers, and he'll read about the news, but he reads about things in a very grandiose way, an entertaining way. And it's interesting because this was a real job for people back in the day. I mean, not a lot of people could read. And definitely the news didn't get to everyone as easily. And this guy's doing this job, and he comes across a situation with a young girl who you can tell she's, white girl with blonde hair, but she's wearing Indian clothes and only speaks Indian. And really quickly, he figures out, oh, she was taken as a young kid and has been raised as an Indian. Um, Kiowa, I think, is the nationality of the Indian nation or whatever. And so he's trying to like make sure she's okay and get her back to someone who is maybe family or whatever. And in the process, comes across a lot of people who are up to no good and a lot of people who are still trying to figure out who they are in this world. So you can tell this is after the Civil War. There's a lot of people who are there representing the Union Army. There's people there that fought for the South, and there's a lot of tension between them. There's also a lot of tension between Indians and Mexicans and the black folk. I mean, it is 18-ish 70. I want to say 1870 in Texas. I mean, there's a lot of outlawism going on and a lot of craziness. And, at one point, three men are just up to no good and try to kill him to take the girl for who knows what. I mean, literally, who knows what. Very good movie. I think Tom Hanks could do any movie, and I would still watch it and be compelled to talk about it because it's probably great because he can seem to do no bad movie. But anyway, that's on HBO if you want to check it out. Also, I watched the first 5 episodes of Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Wheel of Time, I had different people explain to me that they thought it was a story that inspired Tolkien to write Lord of the Rings. I don't know any truth on that. I didn't Google anything about it. I just watched it because I was like, what is this? And I turned it on one morning before work. I got up kind of early and I'm going into work a little bit later right now. So I was like, I got an hour. Let me turn on an episode and watch it. And so every morning before work, I watched one episode. And I'm caught up because right now there's only 5 of them out. I don't know how many's in a season. But it's okay. It's not bad. It's listen, I know the makers of the show are like, oh, that's the rating we wanted. It's okay. But it's okay. The characters in it are interesting enough to keep me watching. There is a storyline of some magic that's involved, and I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm not sold on it yet. I mean, right now, if I had to give it a rating, if it's episode 5 and there's 10 of them, I would say that I give it a 5 out of 10 because that's about what it is. I'm not sold on it yet, but I'm not turned off enough to stop watching it. I did watch a few first episodes of things, and I'm going to watch more of them, but I kind of want everybody's opinion on it because I haven't seen them, and I'm not sure if I want to keep watching one of them. And you can get to pick which one. Okay, so the first one I watched one episode. It was called True Story, and it's Kevin Hart. And I don't know if it's supposed to be a story about something related to something going on in his life or what. But in the first episode, there is there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of, he's supposed to be basically a version of himself who's a mogul and a comedian and a movie star and everything else, and he has a brother that's sort of hanging on and taking money from him and trying to make his own way, but is making horrible business decisions along the way. And in his efforts, there's a moment where a girl dies, and he wakes up and she's in bed with him dead. And so they go to cover it up by hiring a hitman, sort of mafioso type guy. The guy tries to extort money from him, and he kills the dude because he's panicking. And after the first episode, I was like, do I? I mean, listen, I like Kevin Hart. I like him as a comedian. I like him as an actor. I'm probably going to watch more, but I wasn't eager to. I don't know if that makes any sense. Just the intensity of it made me sweat. And maybe that's a credit to how good of an actor he is. But man, I felt super uncomfortable. And maybe, like I said, maybe it's because of the nature of his ability to make you feel what he's feeling. I mean, that's, if anything else, that's a credit to his acting ability. Wesley Snipes plays his brother, and he is he's a piece of work in this. I mean, he is the type of character, he's playing this great as the type of character who's like, God, if I weren't related to you, I mean, you could see it between the two of them. They're playing it really well as brothers, and there is moments of him going, if I wasn't related to you, like I would ghost you immediately, but because I'm related to you, like I feel like I owe you something. You know what I mean? Oh man, it's intense. The first episode's intense. I haven't watched any more, but the first episode. But man, all right. So the next one I watched one episode of is F is for Family. Bill Burr. It's an animated series. Bill Burr is like the main voice in this. There's lots of comedic actors that are playing voices. I've watched every season up to this one. It's kicking off pretty good, and I'm going to watch more of those, but I just haven't had time. I mean, it's just one of those things of time constraints. So it's not a family-friendly cartoon. If anything, it's, I guess, more for jaded old men like myself and people like me. So F is for Family. If you're a fan of Bill Burr, you'll love it. All right. And Lost in Space. Lost in Space apparently is one of those shows that's gotten gobbled up by cancellations. I don't know if the first two seasons just didn't hit it off really well, but they've announced that this is the final season, and the episodes are out. I watched the first episode this morning. A friend of mine from high school, Thomas, put on Facebook that he watched all of them and that it was by far the best season that they'd ever done and the best show that he's ever seen on Netflix. And I'm like, dude, that's a bold statement. And listen, I am a fan of science fiction. I'm a fan of a lot of things that Thomas is a fan of. Whenever he's like, you got to check this out, I'm like, okay, that's probably a good recommendation, because his sensibilities and mine are real similar when it comes to entertainment like that. And so I'm going to watch more. First episode was fireworks off the bang, and I'm in it. I mean, if you're looking for a space show where there is nostalgia of the old Lost in Space TV show, or if you've never watched the old Lost in Space TV show, this is good. Season 2 had a very intense moment with lots of alien robots attacking them. That was, man, it was intense. But this one, so far, I can see them leading up to something grand, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. So there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up early. I did want to thank everybody for checking out the website, www.stuffiheard.com. I am working on trying to make it better. I am trying to upload thumbnails to make things easier to follow. I took off the front page with the video because that was stupid. I got rid of that. And listen, I'm up for suggestions. If you guys have suggestions of things I could do differently on that, let me know. I'm trying to learn as I go. Um, I'll admit I'm not the best at criticism, but I'm trying to get better. I'm trying. Listen, it's all we can do, right? We can strive to get better, and that's just it. My buddy Greg finally put out another episode of the 5 and 40 podcast. I think this is the first one he put out since last April or May. I mean, it's been like almost a year. But he has a new one, and it's all about crypto. And he's sort of giving his opinions and his facts. Listen, this is the Stuff I Heard channel. His is 5 and 40. He does research. So check out 5 and 40. Listen to Greg teach you about crypto and about what you need to know and why it's cool and why it's important and what he thinks it's going to be in the future. Um, he's one of the smartest people I know. So he probably has done a lot of research. Plus, he has a brother who has turned that into a career and it's really paid off well for him. So he's probably getting some good information. Check it out. And that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Please, if you haven't, please rate, review, subscribe. It does help me continue doing this. And yeah, that's it for now. And as always, cue the cow.
So I want you guys to give me more likes. Give me more likes.